I feel like if you've never been a fool for love, you may not have been in love.
First of all, I think everybody knows me. I'm Tedra. Just thank y'all so much for joining Dope Girls Conversations. And, with that being said, I want to take a few minutes just to introduce our author, Miss Jacqueline J. Holness. She is a seasoned and sassy journalist with more than 20 years of professional experience. Currently, she's a correspondent for Courthouse News Service. Her articles have also appeared in Upscale, Christianity Today, and Atlanta Tribune magazines, as well as the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and Atlanta Business Chronicle newspapers. Additionally, she was a columnist for the Lookout magazine and a contributor to urbanfaith.com. Finally and faithfully, she blogs at afterthealtarcall.com. She is a proud Jamaican. Jacqueline reps Metro Atlanta as her home, where she lives with her handsome husband. Welcome, Jacqueline.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
You are welcome. And also,
in the full-length description of Destination Wedding, you reveal that you wrote your novel after seeing an ABC News Nightline report, in which it was revealed that 42% of Black women weren't married, and also featured Black women in Atlanta specifically. What made you decide to write the book and base it off of that report?
Well, when I saw the report, I did want to ignore it because a lot of times, I don't know about y'all, when you see negative statistics and they attach it to race, you just kind of feel like, well, why are y'all picking on us, And so when I saw that report, I was single and I wasn't happily single at the time. I had just gotten out of a relationship and it was a very painful breakup. So when I saw that report, it really affected me and I wanted to ignore it. But at the same time, when I saw these women talking about their dating experiences or lack of dating experiences, I knew that that was true because it was true for me and a lot of people that I knew at that time. So I decided months later, after thinking about it for several months, that I should write something about the report. But I didn't want to come off like, I hate to say it, like a Steve Harvey, or whatever. I didn't want to come up like, okay, this is my advice to you. I just wanted it to be a response. I thought, well, maybe I should do it from a fictional standpoint. And at least, people can take what they want to take from it. And it wouldn't be like, here's my advice, if that makes sense.
For me, it is very hard. I am single. I have been single for a while. Actually, I just got out of a 3-year relationship. So I'm back in that boat again or whatever. So, and I'm 47 years old. So yes, it is very hard. Do I want to get married? Yes, I do. But I just hate when we see the statistics about single Black women. What is it that we did, differently from our white counterparts and things of that nature. And it really makes you stop to think, hey, we just took different paths, things of that nature. We decided to focus on our education, our careers, so on and so forth. For me, it's taking care of my mom and things of that nature because she does have Alzheimer's. But at the same time, I felt like I could still, maintain a, relationship with someone with whom I saw myself marrying one day. But unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. So it is hard.
Well, I'm a big Sex and the City fan. When I was in that space, 2009, I used to watch that show almost like it was a religious experience. I just watched it and I just commiserated with the ladies. I felt like so many things that they were going through, I was going through. So this year, at the beginning of last year, I should say, when I was thinking about who I wanted to get an endorsement from, I never even imagined that someone like her, the person I looked up to as far as that's concerned, would even, endorse my book. but it just so happened that she was coming to Atlanta in September, I think it was. And I just decided on a whim, I'm just going to go there. I'm going to bring her an advance copy of the book. I'm going to write her a letter, and I'm going to somehow speak to her. And it's funny because, I sat in the second row of the event. And the reason why I didn't sit in the first row, even though the first row was available, is because of a scripture in the Bible. It says that when you come into an environment, sit on the second row so that somebody can invite you to the first row. That's a thought that I literally had in my mind. And so when I sat in that second row, one of her best friends who lives in Atlanta sat in front of me. And we just got to talking about my book, because I had the book on me, of course. And she said, well, I'm going to introduce you to her after this event. I was just shocked.
Wow.
I didn't think it was going to go that well. So it went from there.
Oh, wow.
Hmm.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And I know the report that we mentioned earlier debuted about 10 years ago in December. So why did it take, I guess, Destination Wedding 10 years to be released? Why did you wait that long to release Destination Wedding?
Well, yes, the original report aired in December of 2009. And ironically, about 3 months after I saw that report, 2 months actually, because it was in February, 2 months after I saw that report, I started going out with my now husband. So, so that took some time getting to know him. And like I said, the idea was in the back of my mind. And because I'm a journalist, trained at the University of Georgia, go Dogs, right?
Go Dogs!
Know how to write a novel. And so I had to really, research. I went to conferences, I talked to authors. And so it took me that long because I had to learn how to write a novel. I feel like anything that you do, you should take the time to learn how to do it well. So it took me a while, but I'm thankful that it took me the amount of time that it did, because I felt like the fact that it came out on the same month that, that I originally saw the report, I felt like it was meant to be.
So how did you come up with the premise that your actual characters in the book would see this report and resolve to get married in 1 year after seeing the report? Now, I think that's some aggressive deadline of 1 year.
I agree with you. I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking the exact. That's
right. I was thinking, how are they going to get married in a year? Right.
There are some crazy people out there, so you think it's going to take me more than a year to get to know somebody. But I remember, I don't know about, your close group of girlfriends, but mine, we would meet in January and we would have vision board meetings, And I remember one of my girlfriends said, I'm going to meet my husband and I'm going to marry him this year. And I was thinking to myself, you are so crazy. So it didn't happen then, but ladies, she met her husband and married him in 1 year, years later. It didn't happen that year. But a few years later, she did. They're married today with a child.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So it can happen.
I guess it can.
Right. I guess that's why they say you need to visualize. Visualize what you want. All right. Now, each of the characters were so relatable. So, Sonalda, the bossy bank executive whose competitiveness is an asset and also a liability. Then there's Jarena, the PR company owner with Christian morals, yet she's drawn to married men. There's Mimi, the radio DJ who excels in her career without really trying. But try she might, she can't get the one she loves to love her back. And the one main character who's married, Whitney, who balances her career as an employment labor law attorney and being a mother of twins, but she's having marital issues with her doctor husband. How did you come up with these characters?
Well, I thought about my friends, but I also thought about women that I've met in various situations. And I think about Atlanta women. Most Atlanta women, Black women who are career women, are very driven, right? They have goals, they have vision board meetings, they're really set up, they've set themselves up to succeed in every way. But most Black women that I've met, as far as professional, it seems like we all have things that people might not know that are chinks in our exterior. People might not know that, yes, I'm bossy when it comes to my career, but in my personal life, I have a some issues, you know, or yes, you know, I'm excelling here in this part of my life, but there's another part that's not quite the way we want it to be. And so I just thought about all the women that I've met over the years in Atlanta. And so it was kind of like a combination of all those types of women that I've met, and myself included.
You know, Jackie, one of the things that I found to be like really kind of intriguing to me was in reading it, I was like, dang, why don't they tell their friends the truth? You know, so they'll have somebody to talk to about, you know, whatever the case may be, especially Jarena, as she was messing with her married first love,
Right.
and going through all those things. I don't know. I just thought about that. That was just really interesting to me.
Well, I'm very
ladies,
secretive. I'll
okay.
admit it. I am. You know, I have friends for different groups, and I might tell one group of friends this, and that's. I mean, that, you know, it's probably a character flaw. I know one of my girlfriends I've known since well, she's always like, "Girl, I got to ask you what's going on every week because you will not tell me." I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's just something about me where I'm like, I got to keep things close to the belt. I don't know. It's just, you know, maybe because I don't want people to see my flaws, you know? So,
Yeah, that was interesting too. How as you developed them, they each had this, I said they had kind of like a mask or an armor on that they had, you know, make these impressions and had to let people see, you know. So Nalda was just like, it's going to be like this. I'm going to get married. This man is going to propose. You know what? He's not doing it as soon as I want him to. So I'm going to back away from him using reverse psychology so that he will then come and do
that.
So, but I just thought it was real interesting how you, you know, those characters were just so, they were relatable. They were everyday people, but yet putting up the airs that a lot of people do. I thought it was cool. That was good.
But I found one thing I found, like I've had friends that, like I have different groups of friends that I've known since like maybe middle school, high school. Then I have friends from college, and then I have friends from work, right? So the friends that have known me the longest know me and have, you know, all the secrets, most of them. You know, if I've known you since 13, you know probably more about me than anybody has, you know. Yeah. If we've been in a friendship that long, I'll trust you with things. So I felt like maybe they weren't real with one another because there was a lack of trust in their friendships, or what? I don't know. Or they didn't want to be seen or viewed as not having themselves together. Like I'm real with my friends. Like they know the flaws, they know everything. So I felt like, you know, maybe they just, I don't know, you know, maybe they could have been a little more honest with their true friends. Like,
well, see, that's what I was thinking. These were middle school, college friends, you know, like friends.
Yeah, so you could share that. Like Jarena, like I felt like if she was doing that, she would have told, who was it, Mimi, that she's known the longest.
And was that, Jackie, deliberately done? Because like you said, you are, you know, you kind of keep things close to the vest and you're a private person. So was it something that was deliberately written in where they did keep secrets?
Well, I think Jarena was the one who, for the most part, did, right? The rest of them were more open, you know, especially Mimi. Mimi was like, this is it. Except when it came to her very, very best friend, because Jarena had high expectations for herself and for everybody. So I kind of feel like maybe Mimi didn't always want to share everything because, you know, Jarena probably judged, you know, to some extent, you know. And so I think, and, you know, to be honest, I think with me being, you know, the Christian, you know, sometimes people, you know, don't tell me things automatically because they think I have a certain opinion. I've been told that before. And then me on the same hand, you know, sometimes when I'm going through something, I like to keep it close until I feel like I've gotten it all together. Then I can share what happened.
Yeah. Now I have done that. You know, it's kind of I don't want people to see how jacked up some things are until I got it all fixed and figured out, and then I can come back and tell y'all my testimony.
Yeah, see, I'll share it because I'll share it and I'll be like, hey, I'm all messed up. You're gonna see me how I am, and my friends will be like, they'll just say, hey, they'll tell me the truth now. They will tell me the truth. Hey, you need to get it together, honey.
Right.
All
Something
right.
else, Jacqueline, that I found to be really interesting was as these ladies were going through their issues and they decided that they were going to do their 1-year destination wedding, was that they included CC. They had the therapist come through and do some things with that. So where did that come from? How did, reading the self-help books, getting a therapist, where did those ideas come from?
Well, as I was, on this journey myself, because I was on a destination wedding journey myself, I sought out self-help books. People I know sought therapy. I mean, there were people that I talked to. I had mentors, people who were older than me or who are older than me, who I asked questions of. And so I just kind of put all these experiences together because I do feel like, in our professional lives, you and I were talking before the meeting got started, we seek out help, when we're trying to go to a new level when it comes to our career. And for some reason, when it comes to relationships, we kind of just think, oh, well, it's just going to happen when it's right. It's just going to happen. And for some people, that is true. You need to seek out a mentor. You may have to go to therapy. You may have to read a book or two. And relationships, in some ways, are more challenging than a career. You know what I mean? Because it's, people are getting to know you fully, and you have to be with them, and with the job, you're there for a certain amount of time, and they only know, what you present professionally, and that's it, And if you put certain ducks in a row, most likely certain things will open up for you, but it's not always like that in relationships. So.
Oh, Mimi and Javon. Like, was that relationship inspired by anyone? Because that was a tumultuous
That was something
relationship.
serious.
That, she's in her 30s and she's ramming the car. I just imagine, just being that upset, ramming my car into someone else's and almost. What I guess inspired that relationship?
Well, in getting to know people over the years, I've seen people do some crazy things when it comes to, I feel like if you've never been a fool for love, you may not have been in love, because sometimes love will have you, now long-lasting, healthy love, maybe not, but at some point, if you've been crazy in love, you have done crazy things. So there are people that I know that have done those things.
Yeah, I mean, I have not gone to the extent of ramming my car into my ex's car or whatever, driving down the highway, but I've done a couple of drive-bys in my day.
I know. I mean, I can't be the only one that's done something crazy. So
you're not. Take me to what you were thinking of, or what caused you to have Jarena not knowing who her father was, and he ended up being the preacher. I wasn't ready for that one either.
Yeah, that threw me.
And that's why she was a preacher. Like her grandmother kept telling her, "You're gonna be a preacher," maybe because she knew who her daddy
was. See, I wasn't ready for that one.
Well, I feel like I don't know about you, but a lot of people say that you marry your father or you marry your mother, and there's certain things that have happened in your childhood that influence you, whether you realize it or not. And so all along, of course, I knew that I wanted her to be influenced by her childhood, but not to know exactly how it happened. And she did always feel like she had a calling on her life. You know what I mean? But at the same time, she found herself always being with a married man. So that's like, how do you, it's like, how am I knowing I have a calling by God? I'm supposed to be the super Christian in my group of friends. And yet I'm always, in the back door with somebody's man. You know what I'm saying? How is that happening? So I knew I had to trace it back to her childhood, because anyone that does things like that, they're so far apart. It has to be something that stems from something else. It doesn't just spring up. It comes from somewhere, because it's not like, I don't think she walk into a room and said, let me just target the married man. It just seemed like that's the situation that she always found herself in. And so I've known people, you know, that have found themselves in situations and not know exactly why. But then when they reflect like on their childhood, like I know someone who's always attracted to very, I mean, like very, very handsome men who tend to be like real slick. But then when she thought back on it, her father was, you know, real handsome and slick. You know, the ladies love him. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so it's like, so things happen that influence you. You don't recognize at the time that they're influencing you until you're an adult and can really look back.
I have to be honest. I was thinking Jarena was about to have an affair with the preacher from the church she joined.
Me too.
I was like, and when she got up, she shook his hand. I was like, dang, I thought they were about to. I did.
He's not like that, though. He's not like that.
But that would have been, you know, coming full circle from what her mom did, you know, so he made it where it wasn't, you know, exactly like
he was there to show her that her calling was for real, you know. That's where it came out that she was really called by God. But no, he wasn't trying to be her man.
I'm glad you left that character pure. I'm
Now I have a question about Mimi. So she was the first to get married, and I thought she would have been the last. And so I'm wondering, like, I haven't thought about her now. Like, would she stay married? Like, are you going to build off of her character anymore, or any of these characters?
So there is a sequel coming.
Okay.
And you know, but for Mimi, what I see her in her case, she just liked crazy men, and so there was a stable man that liked her. You know what I mean? So I think by the end of the book, she recognized that she loved him too. Maybe not in the same way, but you know, sometimes in relationships, you grow into the relationship, you know. I don't know about y'all, but there are some, you know, some people get married and they're both at the same place at the same time. But I've known some people where they get married and they kind of grow into it, if that makes sense.
I thought it was interesting how even with like Sonalda, Mimi as well, they both ended up marrying total opposites of what they thought they would.
Right.
Especially with Sonalda thinking that, you know, she had to have someone who was her quote unquote equal or better, you know, having all of these standards, and then ended up not knowing she was marrying an entrepreneur, but ended up with someone who looked totally different than she pictured. Right. Who had a job totally different than she envisioned, took her on dates totally different than she thought she would enjoy and like. And I love that because it showed someone who was so structured and so, I guess, stiff with what they believed and how things had to be. It's got to be like this. It's got to be like that. That she was totally, as Cece showed her in the book, she was totally missing out on like a whole group of wonderful people.
Right.
To open herself up. So where did that come from? Is that something you experienced?
Well, you know, I had some early readers that read my book, and one of them said, I've never met your husband, but based on his pictures on Facebook, he reminds me of Wendell. And I said, well, I say he is a lot like him, because when I met, you know, my husband, you know, I had ideas about what I wanted, and, you know, and it's like, he didn't fit that picture. I thought he was handsome when I first met him, but aside from that, I was like, well, I don't really know. But as I continued to get to know him, it was like, well, wow, I was looking for all of these things, and I didn't realize that he had all of these things. But I had to get past what I thought, you know, it would look like, you know what I mean? Because he's very attentive. He's a lot of fun. You know, he's a Christian man, but he's not like one of those super saved, spiritual Christian guys that I tend not to like, you know.
Right.
He's just the type of guy that's right for me, you know, and I did not see that. Plus, he's a real, like, laid back, cool guy, and I can be uptight sometimes. So, you know, so I need someone that's kind of laid back and, you know, chill or whatever. So.
Is he a chef?
Huh?
Is he a chef?
No. No, he's not a chef.
So what made you let your guard down to move away from what you thought you wanted in a man, to allow yourself to explore something that was outside of what you felt your typical man was?
Because I feel like, I had dated so many different types of guys that I thought, okay, this is going to work. Okay, well, this is going to work. Okay, well, this is going to work. Well, finally, the last guy that, we broke up right before my husband and I started dating, I was like, if this don't work, then I have nothing left. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this right, I can't think my way through it. God's going to have to come in and bless me because I can't, so I had like kind of sworn off the whole situation. I was like, you know what? I'm going to just give it up to God. I'm going to put it here, God. I'm going to get it to you. You know my desires of my heart. And, I'll try it every which way, and I can't make it work. And I'm out here trying to do my thing, and you bless me with a nice career. You bless me with a nice house. I got a car. I'm going to just focus on my friends. So I just totally took my hand off of it. But it was funny because my husband, right after I broke up with that guy, I told my husband what happened because he went to my church. And so I told him what happened, and he said, well, that kind of stuff wouldn't happen with me. And I said, well, okay. And I just let it go over my head because I was like, I'm not trying to really think about you. And so he said, well, maybe we should go. I said, well, not now. And I said, let me take some time to like get over it. So that's why it even took 2 months later, because I needed some time to process what happened beforehand. And so, I had just gotten frustrated. Basically, I just said there's no other way I can make this work. So maybe I'm not supposed to be married. Maybe I'm just supposed to be single. And I was like, I'm gonna just have to be happy,
Well, I was glad to see that Sonalda didn't sabotage herself with that, because I was looking at this and I was like, oh my God, she's gonna ruin this. She's gonna ruin this. She's gonna ruin this. And I'm glad it turned out to be a happy ending.
Me too. That was my favorite. That's my favorite love story in the book.
I loved her too. But I liked all your characters. I liked Mimi. She was a sassy little something.
Yeah. And I like that you gave them each a little dialect or whatever. And even Wendell, I was like, oh no, so now there's not going to go for him with that ATL accent. But I like that.
Now, Whitney was kind of working my nerves, though. Whitney was working my nerves.
Yes. Okay, talk about Whitney. Go ahead.
But was Whitney really based off of Whitley from A Different World? Because that is who I did.
Yes.
But I couldn't say Whitley. I couldn't just jack the character. Yes, in my mind, it was like Whitley. So I said, I'm going to make her Whitney. Okay. And then I had a friend growing up that used to idolize Whitney Houston, because you remember how Whitney Houston had that image before we knew the behind the scenes. So she had that image of being that like pristine person. So I said, okay, I'm gonna make her like Whitney. She's gonna be Whitney. So that's what I said in my mind. Yeah.
So she was like Whitley.
She's probably the person I'll be least likely to be friends with, in real life. But she had a good heart as well. Just bougie.
I was going to say, so you said there was going to be a sequel coming out. When do you anticipate that? Is that something you're working on now?
Well, I've already outlined it, and I've written a couple of chapters, and I kind of have an idea what's going to happen with each character. So I just have to start working on it. But I want to continue to work on this book, promoting it and getting the work out there for a while. But at some point, while I'm doing it, I'm going to settle down and really get into my writing cave. But it's like you have to put on two different hats. I'm kind of an introvert, so I've had to kind of work myself out of that, so I have to work myself back into it when I'm ready to write, because I kind of like retreat and go into a hole and, really focus on that. So,
okay. So I'm a huge visionary thinker. And as I was reading it, I was seeing your characters like on film, on TV, some type of, sitcom or some type of movie. Is that something that you want to eventually move into, putting those characters on screen, or you want to keep them in the pages of your book?
I would love to see them on screen, but I've never written a screenplay, and it was so hard to do this book. I'm like, somebody, guys are gonna have to just drop something on my lap, as far as this is concerned. But I would love to see it because I feel like it would be a great, fun movie. You could just watch it. I could see myself watching it on a Saturday night when I don't have anything, just relaxing at the house or whatever, So something that would come on TV, not in a big screen necessarily. I mean, because so many things you can see on Netflix. So something you could just watch at the house and just chill and be like, oh yeah, blah blah, have whatever you need to have with it, your snacks. I could see that. Yeah.
I can see it too, and we as Black women, we need some good girlfriends movies and stuff we can do.
I really love girls trips, so I see it like on something like that level where it could be Black women just in all of our glory,
Yeah,
what we do.
The good, the bad, the ugly. I love it.
Okay. Was there anything that shocked you about the story? Or anything, let's put like, okay, let me get that last. Was there anything that you related to? And I know some of us are married in here, but it was anything you related to when you were single?
Sure.
Gosh, I'm trying to look. It's been so long.
Yeah.
Dang, I've been married.
You can remember.
Look, I've been married for almost 16 years now, girl. So I'm like trying to think back to way back when.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's a long time, 16 years. I just 6, so I can still remember very clearly.
Yeah, and I can remember.
You can remember. I do remember, like, I can't think of his name.
Okay, Barry.
Barry. Thank you.
Barack. I was thinking of Barack. Don't call him Barry.
I got him from Barack Obama. I was like, he's gonna be like Barack.
And he had 2 girls.
Yep, he sure did. And the sweet wife.
Yep.
But I do remember, like, this is way before getting married, but having like maybe an ex or something, and not even necessarily one that was married, but I used to always joke around with my friends and say, girl, they're gonna always come back. They always try to come back. And then when I read about, the guy, she was in love with him, he in love, and he came back. I was like, don't do it, girl, don't do it. You're gonna get caught up in it. Don't do it.
She was the one that turned him down. So
exactly. But he came back.
He did. Yeah. And I think, you're like an OG when it comes to marriage. So, so you might not, you might have not had this occasion to happen to you, but there was a guy that I dated in college, and, we dated for a good, I don't know, almost a year, which is a long time in college.
Yeah.
And in my 30s, he did come back around, because I don't do that. But he did come back around, and we kind of, we toyed with that idea because, when you're 21 versus 35, 34, things are different. So it can happen that way, for some women.
Come back.
Yep.
So I thought that was interesting. And then I told you too, I thought something that was very interesting, and I was not prepared for it. I should have been, but I wasn't, was when Dexter came out the closet and told her about his situation that he had.
Did anybody guess that, or did anybody see that coming, or was it just a surprise?
It was a surprise for me.
Okay.
I was disappointed. I was like, man,
I was too.
Man, really? He's perfect.
Yeah.
But he was too perfect.
Too perfect. That's what I was about to say, Tifa. He was too perfect.
Just having this conversation with my cousin last weekend. I fully believe that there are some women who are married to men that they have those interests, you know what I mean? And they know about it. And they've decided that it's okay because, he's not going to stray from the marriage because he has told me about it and this is our thing. I do believe that there's some women who are okay with that.
I agree. I think there probably are many women who are okay with that.
And see, that's scary for me because I would always be wondering, okay, where is he going? What's he doing? You know, he done dropped this little tidbit in my ear and I'm trying to, you know, trust him or whatever, but I just know how I am. And in the back of my mind, I'm wondering, okay, are you out there doing what you used to do or what, you know?
Yeah.
So I really don't think I could be all right with that.
Right.
I know I couldn't.
I mean, you know, that wouldn't work for me, but I really do believe that there are some women out there who are like, okay, we all have things that, you know, that make us different from other people. And as long as he's open and honest with me and, you know, we've just committed to be monogamous, you know,
I can't even do it.
Okay. Me either.
yeah, that wouldn't be something that would work for me. But you know, but if a woman told me she had made that decision, I would try not to judge. You know, I'd be like, well,
Right.
it's not my husband. You know, so that's your situation. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
But
now
do
she
you
made the
think?
right decision, and
Yeah.
she decided to move forward without him.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I was going to say, with a decision like that, do you think that would be in your artistic mind, Jacqueline? Do you think that is a woman who is just desperate to be married, desperate to be in a relationship, that she is willingly, knowing and willing to only to give that part of her husband
Well,
to not only another woman, but to another man?
well, okay. So what I envision is not someone that is acting on that, because to me, whether you're with another man or a woman outside of your relationship, that's cheating. I'm
Mhm.
saying that if you even have that interest, because, you know, men, you know, heterosexual men, they have to make a decision to cut themselves off from other women. You know what I mean? So what I'm envisioning is not they're having a relationship and then you have something on the side. I'm envisioning that you know that your husband may be bisexual, but he has committed himself to this marriage. So, you know, that's what I'm saying. I don't think anybody should get involved with some, unless you have an open marriage and that's what y'all do. But I don't think anybody should get with someone if they know that they're not going to be monogamous with them. You know what I'm saying? So it may be another woman, it may be a man, you know, because you know, there may be some women who feel like they're bisexual and they get married to a bisexual man and they decide that they want to be together in a hetero, I guess, sexual relationship, but that doesn't mean that they don't have interest, you know?
Which is interesting because Mimi was going through the same thing with Javon, admitting to her as well, I'm not, I can't be monogamous with anybody. And then he's over there with Miss Chula doing whatever, you know, they were doing.
Well, with that situation, he told her she had all the information up front.
Right.
So she made the decision, you know, to do that. He told her up front, listen, I do not want to be monogamous. We can kick it, we can hang out. If you want to do that with me, I'm fine with that, but just know that you're not the only one. And he never wavered from that. You know what I'm saying? Never wavered. So in her situation, I feel like she should take the blame for that. Now, as he saw her getting, you know, more and more attached, maybe he should have detached earlier, but she still knew what he said. She just thought he changed his mind.
I know so
Felt
many
the connection with sharing with him, and they had their special moments, but she thought that drew them closer, but it didn't.
And I found that with men, like in his situation, he ended up meeting someone that he was willing to be monogamous for, you know, and you know, obviously he felt deeply about her because he married her within a short amount of time.
hell within that year.
Some men, you know, they could tell you that they don't want to be monogamous with you, but then they meet somebody else and they totally change the script. But you can't wait around for a man that does that, you know, because he may not change his mind when it comes to you, you know, so yeah.
So how long was it before, you know, from the time you met your husband till you got married? What was that timeline?
3 years, you know, but he was saying that he was looking at rings like within that first month. He was like, yeah, I just happened to see a ring shop, you know, and I walked by, blah, blah, blah. And I just looked at him like, okay, whatever. And I just kind of let it go in one ear and out the other. But he had said that in the beginning, but yeah, it took 3 years. So yeah.
Yep. Well, everyone, I enjoyed reading the book. I enjoyed just seeing how the characters really evolved throughout the book because they did all change. They started out one way and they ended another because Sonata grew. I felt like Mimi grew, and Jarena, she learned some things about herself. And so did Whitney. I think Whitney is still, she's still having to learn more about herself. And I'm sure in the sequel you'll probably dive a little more into her. But I enjoyed the book overall, and
I did too.
Yeah,
And so did I.
Feel like
Y'all enjoyed it, and please do me a favor. Either if you're an Amazon customer, head over to Amazon and leave a review because that helps to boost the visibility of the book. Or if you're not on Amazon, you can go to goodreads.com and pull up the name of my book and just leave a review there. So whichever, or Barnes and Noble or whatever. Probably either Amazon or Goodreads are your best bets for leaving reviews. But any review that you can leave helps people to make decisions, and the algorithms it increases its visibility. So I appreciate that in advance.
Well, thank you so much, Jacqueline. I gotta call you Jacqueline. Thank you so much for, first of all, for participating as one of the most frequent posters in Dope Girl Conversation. So I appreciate that. And Latifah and Felicia as well. Thank y'all so much for being a part of the group. We can definitely do this again. Anytime, Jacqueline, that you would like to, we can try and get another group together again, with all the things that happened that shocked the world today. I know people are probably kind of throwing off their schedules and different things like that, but we can definitely do it again. I've enjoyed it. So thank you, ladies, so much. And I guess with that, Jackie, is there anything else you want to say before we log off here?
No, well, no. I was thinking about Jarena's ending, how she did not end up getting married, and I didn't know if y'all had any thoughts about that. So, but
I think I do have a thought about that, being that she was the only one who wasn't married. I figured she would be the primary character in the sequel, her and Whitney, to kind of, flesh out some of whatever was going on with them, like Latifah said earlier. So I was that was my assumption, but you're the author, so.
Well, I'll let you keep guessing, but the reason why I did that is because I didn't want to make it seem like getting married is just the end all happy ending. You know what I mean? I wanted it to be like, whether you're a single or whether you're married, your happy ending has to be what you make it. So I wanted to make sure that was real clear. So
okay.
And then too, just to kind of add on before logging off here, I think that it was really good how you also made it. Okay, so getting married was their goal, but it was ups and downs in that. And just because you put it on your vision board, just because you say this is what you're going to do, doesn't mean that it's this clear, easy path to it. So I like the fact that you showed those ups and downs, and when you write Latifah's character in, you can show how it comes back full circle.
I'm good. I enjoyed the book. I did, and I am going to recommend it to my book club.
Thank you.
All right, ladies. Thank y'all so much. Y'all have a good night.
All right. I enjoyed it.
Me too. Bye, y'all.